All right, guys, we got a good show lined up for you. Good Wednesday afternoon. We'll start the program shortly. A lot of topics on today's program. If you could do us the favor of liking the show and sharing the show, that would mean the world to us. Give the show a like and a share, like and a share, like and a share. Topics today: 22-year low for mortgage demand. Friend of the program, MJ Arquette, put this on our radar about Actonia Stone Brew Works in Greene County. Their future is uncertain at their current location in Greene. We will explain to you why Actonia Stone Brew Works in Greene County, the only brewery in Greene County, has an uncertain future ahead of it. We'll talk public transportation and how it pertains to Albemarle Public School students. Judah is going to educate viewers and listeners on the University of Virginia repurposing student furniture. I will explain how there are 1,800 plus laptops with former students within the Richmond Public School system. Think about that. They gave Chromebooks to Richmond Public School students, and they didn't put a methodology in place, a process in place, to get the Chromebooks turned back in at the end of the school year. So now there are 1,800 laptops floating around Richmond with former students who are no longer even active students in the Richmond Public School system. We'll explain to you what jobs in America employers are hiring for on today's show, and the impact of inflation on tipping food and beverage workers 20%. Tipping is now becoming less and less popular, unfortunately, because of inflation. So many topics to cover on today's show. Give it a like, give it a share anywhere you are watching. We will rock and roll in T-minus 10 seconds. Judah Wickhauer, we can rock when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Good Wednesday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille show. Thank you kindly for joining us. We have a Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, Commonwealth, country, and worldwide audience on the Wednesday edition of the I Love CVille show. It's Wednesday, June 8th, and there are a lot of topics we're going to cover on today's program, including mortgage demand at a 22-year low. That story to lead today's show. You'll hear the story of mortgage demand at a 22-year low in about 30 seconds. We'll highlight Actonia Stone Brew Works on today's program. The only brewery in Greene County has an uncertain future, and we will let you know why today on the I Love CVille show. We'll talk public transportation and how it applies to public school students in Albemarle County. Yes, public transportation. Yes, Charlottesville Albemarle Transit. Yes, Jaunt may be the way public school students in Albemarle get to and from school. That topic coming up on today's program. 1,800 laptops are unaccounted for within the Richmond Public School system. These Chromebooks were funded by the CARES Act during the pandemic. The Chromebooks were given to students as a way for them to learn during quarantine and at the peak of the pandemic. Unfortunately, Richmond Public School System did not put a process in place to recover or have the laptops turned back into the school system. And as a result, 1,800 computers are in possession of students no longer in the Richmond Public School system. Ay mi madre, ay caramba, that is not good. That story on today's show. and we will relay the impact that inflation is having on tipping in the food and beverage industry and the top 5 jobs employers are hiring for right now. Judah Wickower is our director. Let's go to the 2-shot. Let's welcome Judah Wickower to the show. My friend, good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad.
You got a topic that you're going to relay, UVA repurposing student furniture.
Yeah.
That's intriguing to me. When I was a student at the University of Virginia, we often were left with a number of different paths for our furniture. We usually didn't want to pack it up and take it home because we beat up the furniture, we destroyed the furniture, and it had little value. So we would throw them in dumpsters, leave them on the side of the road, or leave them in the rentals themselves.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem. You've got a lot of people that probably had furniture bought by their parents. So whether or not it's in good shape, it certainly has little value to the students. But I believe a lot of that stuff has a great value to people who are less well off. And so I think repurposing that stuff rather than just letting it, sit in the rain and rot when you're done with it is a great idea. Not to mention the fact that in today's economy, people are still going to need furniture for whatever reason.
So when we were on grounds, and it's not just the group that I associated with, I mean, it's a fairly common nomenclature among UVA students. As they finished their leases, students were often throwing furniture in dumpsters associated with the apartment complexes or the houses they were renting from.
Or just tossing it off the balcony.
Or tossing it off the balcony, leave it on the side of the road. It's because of what you said.
And this is not just UVA.
No, it's everywhere. We're talking inexpensive furniture purchased by parents for college students. Parents realized that this furniture likely was not going to be sustainable due to the living conditions the furniture was housed in, i.e. students like to party.
I don't know how much thought parents give to that kind of thing.
Oh, parents definitely give that some thought. There's no doubt in my mind that parents know when they send a piece of furniture to college with their son or daughter that that piece of furniture is going to get potentially destroyed by a college lifestyle.
Knowing that and giving it a lot of thought are two different things. So yes, parents probably know that the furniture is either going to be destroyed or tossed off a balcony at the end of the year.
So students at the university,
they spend a whole lot of time thinking about it and stressing over it.
Well, I mean, to each their own. That's something I would certainly consider with our son, and that's definitely something my mom and dad considered when they furnitured my brother and I at UVA. I was Dabney 101. And where I was getting at is students at the university, and it's not unique to UVA, it's elsewhere, they call it dumpster diving. When they would see often locals or townies at the end of leases, generally at the end of May and early June, searching and hunting. And literally diving into dumpsters.
So would those be students that are staying in?
No, these were locals.
Okay, yeah, I misheard you because it sounded like you were saying that locals were the ones doing the dumpster diving.
Locals were doing the dumpster diving.
I mean the other way around. Anyways, yeah, definitely.
Students were not dumpster diving.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course.
Because they didn't even pay for the furniture to begin with.
Exactly.
So they don't value something that was given to them by their parents. Mm-hmm. So the easiest path to move out is to throw the furniture away as opposed to repurpose.
Exactly.
So the story we're going to relay on today's show is UVA repurposing furniture for the betterment of the Charlottesville community.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing that story from Judah Wickower. We'll go first to the 1-shot, and then we'll go back to the 2. I'm curious of your take on this. I'll relay the news to you, the viewer and listener. Look, the housing ecosystem is in a volatile position. And data can highlight the volatile nature or the uncertain nature of the housing economy and ecosystem. Mortgage demand has fallen to the lowest level in 22 years amid rising rates and slowing home sales. The average contract interest rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage in our country with a conforming loan balance, $647,000 or less, is 5.4%. During the pandemic, we were hearing about 30-year fixed interest rates that were in the high 2s, low 3s. Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, German Shepherds and Chow Chows, the 30-year fixed interest rate is now at 5.4%. Applications for a mortgage to purchase a home fell 7% for the week and were 21% lower than the same week 1 year ago. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
This time last year, it was bananas, it was nuts, it was crazy town with houses coming on the market. They were listed on a Friday, they were under contract by Friday night. Well, ladies and gentlemen, year over year,
I think that's
today,
still the case.
What?
I think that's still the case.
No, it's changing. It's changing. You're now hearing buyers that have a little bit more leverage that are asking for inspection contingencies and are now negotiating some with buyers. Applications for a mortgage to purchase a home is 21% lower now than this time last year. The buyer has considerably more leverage now. To put it even more perspective, refinance demand dropped 6% for the week and was down 75% year over year.
Because why refinance now?
I mean, the rates are higher.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you were going to refinance, you did it in the last 18 months when rates were at the lowest in American history.
Yeah.
No one's going to refinance after you had 18 to 24 months to do it. And if you're refinancing now, you're refinancing into a headwind, higher rates. So look at what's happening. And we talked a little bit about this with Real Talk with Keith Smith this morning. You have demand at a 22-year low for mortgages. You have rates rising, fuel and groceries out of control, geopolitical uncertainty, midterm elections around the corner, and you have a palpable feeling of uneasiness in local economies and local communities. I mean, 22-year low speaks for itself. That's the lowest it's been since 2000, Judah Wickhauer. 2000.
Yeah.
Mortgage demand right now. I mean, it's tough sledding.
Yeah. I mean, people are struggling, so if they could even afford any of the houses in the area, they're looking at, like you said, higher rates, harder time getting a mortgage. We've talked about it, and I think a lot of people are just kind of checking out. They see the writing on the wall that.
What's the writing on the wall?
The writing on the wall is that this country is for the rich.
That's not the writing on the wall.
You may not think so.
That's not the writing on the wall.
Okay.
The writing on the wall is I mean, that could be some writing on the wall at very tiny print, but that's not the primary writing on the wall.
Okay.
Of any country, you're saying America's not the country you want to live in?
I didn't say that. I'm not talking personally about me. I'm talking about people who are checking out, who are looking around them and saying that this country is not for us. I'm not saying that they're trying to leave. I'm just saying they're looking around and saying this place is not structured for us to survive. It's structured for people who have money.
Well, look, we'll jump to another topic on the show. We'll jump ahead. And I'm going to relay to everybody the top 5 jobs employers are hiring for right now. This came up with Real Talk with Keith Smith, so I did a little research. Number 1 is a registered nurse. Nurses are coveted right now. The registered nurse in a coveted position, the highest interest from a job opening standpoint right now in America is the registered nurse. This is data from Pew Research Center. The registered nurse is the number 1 hired job in America right now. He or she is making just over $68K a year.
Number 1 hired or number 1 open?
The top 5 jobs employers are hiring for right now and how much they pay.
So they've got openings.
Yeah. They're hiring nurses at the greater clip of any other one.
Or at least they're wanting to.
Or wanting to. 2 is the heavy tractor trailer truck driver. The tractor trailer driver $58,000 a year for the tractor trailer driver. I thought that would have been higher. That's a lonely life on the road, driving a tractor trailer around whatever, Eastern Seaboard, regionally, the country, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah.
A lonely and dangerous life. 58 G's for the tractor trailer driver. 3, sales representative, wholesale and manufacturing sales representative. 61,000 for the sales representative. 4, customer service representative. 5, software developer. The customer service representative, 40K. The software developer, 71,000. You got a nurse, you got a tractor trailer driver, you got a sales representative in manufacturing, a customer service rep, and a software developer as the 5 jobs that employers are hiring for right now. Most openings. Employers are looking for people in these jobs.
Yeah.
What's to keep somebody that you say this country is not for them anymore, it's only for the rich, as you said? What's to keep someone with that mindset from transitioning into these 5 fields of work?
Well, we talked about this before. If somebody wants to transition to a nurse, they can't just go there from whatever job they were currently what they're doing before. They can't go there from food and beverage industry and just all of a sudden become a nurse. Same with tractor trailer drivers. You don't just randomly get your CDL driver's license. I'm pretty sure that costs a
pretty penny
chunk.
Yeah, to go through the school.
Yeah, and it costs money to go to school to become a nurse as well. I don't know about the other
software developer. The barrier of entry is significant. You're going to have to learn how to develop software.
That's easier to do, and I can certainly see why that's booming because everything is going
computers
online.
Yeah,
but the problem I think with the first 2, and I don't really know much. I don't have a good feel for the 3rd and 4th, but the first 2 is not just a matter.
You're talking nurse and truck driver.
Yeah, they need people because people have
left the profession.
Yeah, left and right and center. People have been dropping out of those jobs. Obviously with nurses, they've probably, put up with as much as anyone during the pandemic.
So, Danny, and that was the point I wanted to make. I said this morning on Real Talk with Keith Smith, if you wanted to make a career pivot, you wanted to pursue a different line of work, this is the most expensive time in American history to change your career. Housing is obscene and out of control. Inflation is out of control.
Yep.
The all-time highest gasoline prices in American history. Mm-hmm. Groceries are out of control.
And sometimes just not even available.
We don't even know what the hell's going to happen come fall and winter with this COVID thing. You know it's going to come back, right? We know it's going to come back.
I mean, it's here now.
We're at a higher threshold right now. You were relaying data to me earlier before the show starts that we're at peak levels or something along those lines, right?
Blue Ridge Area Health Department, high level of COVID-19 transmission in the Charlottesville area.
So here's the position folks are in. You are either exhausted, you're demoralized, you're angry, you're pissed off and frustrated.
Or all of the above.
All the above. And you can't find housing.
Yeah.
Can't get gas in your car. Groceries are more expensive than they've ever been.
The people that are renting places out are asking outrageous prices.
But what are they going to do instead? We've already identified that this is the most expensive time in American history to change your career. Gas all-time high. Inflation all-time high. Mm-hmm. Cost of goods nauseatingly expensive. The uncertainty of a Russia-Ukraine war and what it's doing to commodities. We've already talked about the uncertain nature of food and beverage and frontline workers. But if they're going to go and transition into a new line of work, they're going to have to go an extended period of time without earning, while they pay their proverbial dues to get into the new field. Often those dues they're paying are tied to expensive schooling.
Yeah.
So you go an extended period of time where you take on debt to go to the school, to be a truck driver or a nurse.
With chances are you've been accruing over the last couple of years.
Which you've already been accruing over the pandemic. So you're snowballing and getting more to change your career. Why would someone be motivated to do that?
It may be to escape the shitty job that they didn't like. It may be just to find something that hopefully pays enough that they can make ends meet.
This is Danny O'Day. It's Travis Hackworth, Danny O'Day. We're going to get to your comments. This is a first-time comment from Indrani Hawkins, who lives in Eugene, Oregon. Indrani, I appreciate you commenting on the show. I'm just curious. You're in Eugene, Oregon now, Indrani. What turned you on to the I Love CVille show in Eugene, Oregon? I'm curious. But I very much am grateful for you commenting and watching and listening to the show in Eugene, Oregon. This is what she says, Indrani Hawkins. So in 1980, we financed a home in California with a 15% interest rate. Everything that goes up must come down. That's the writing on the wall. Gas prices are outrageous, but we lived through the years of embargoes when there was no gas at the pumps. No matter the income, it's never enough to match the cost of living.
Sadly.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think the problem with that statement, while probably most likely true, is that it's this, yes, we will survive this, but how many people will be hurt in the interim?
Well, we will survive this, but in the interim, as Quentin Beckham has said on this show, the middle class is going to be squeezed.
The
middle class is going to be eroded, and the middle class is eventually, you hope to God it doesn't disappear. You hope to God the two groups of folks you have left are financial margin hardship and wealthy. You hope that's not the case.
We've been talking about that's what it's looking like it's leading to.
This is Danny O'Day's comment. MJ Arquette, welcome to the program. We'll get to the Octonia Stone Brew Works news here in a matter of moments, MJ. Thank you for putting that on my radar, MJ. We appreciate you and enjoy working alongside you, MJ. Danny, I think to Judah's point, Jerry, and personally I'd love to hear your thoughts. What changes have been made in the last 20 years that prioritizes the working class over the wealthy? I don't think any.
Yeah.
Can you think of any?
No, of course not. Since when has the working class ever been the priority?
Certainly not from a healthcare standpoint. The only changes, Danny, that have been made in the last 20 years, and only is a tough word to use, a few changes that have been prioritized in the last 20 years that prioritize the working class or the wealthy. Few that I can think of.
I think in general...
Stimulus money is one.
No, that was...
Stimulus money was done to help benefit and support Americans at certain income thresholds. Stimulus money was allocated in a way where the wealthy above certain income thresholds or household incomes did not get the money from the government.
Oh, okay.
You don't think the stimulus money was leveraged or utilized to prioritize the working class?
In some cases it was. There was some of the stimulus money that was meant specifically for people and households, but then there was some of the the business money that was scooped up by definitely not small businesses. Yeah, that's true. For example, the Los Angeles Lakers got PPP money. That's freaking absurd that an NBA basketball team got PPP money. Yeah.
But the stimulus money was done for the betterment of the working class. Now, Biden...
It was largely lip service, though, because how much money was given out and how much money was lost in jobs that people couldn't go to work for.
Yeah,
let's just take one person as an example, and how much could they have gotten over the course of the pandemic, and how much money would they have missed in lost hours? And tell me if you honestly think those two even come close to each other.
Well, Judah, the reason so many people quit working was because they were giving stimulus money from the government to stay home and work and not go back to work. So clearly it was enough for people to stay home and not go back to work. We talked about that throughout the entire pandemic.
I think that's false reasoning.
That's not false reasoning. People left F&B during the pandemic as the stimulus money was being allocated to Americans because they got free money from the government and they stayed home instead of going back to work. That happened. You cannot argue with me that that did not happen.
I'm sure in some cases it did happen, but we've also talked about the number of people that were terrified to go outside. And you're saying somebody working at a shitty job that wasn't paying the bills.
Do we have to?
Okay.
I like
working at a
four-letter
job
words.
that they didn't particularly enjoy, that was not covering their bills, and the government is going to give them free money, and everybody around them is terrified to go outside. And yeah, I can't fault people for choosing that option in the middle of 2020.
So you don't, I'm playing devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show. Americans get money from the government that we call stimulus money. That stimulus money is enough so they don't have to go back to work, at least for a short period of time. They choose instead to take the money from the government, change their life. Maybe they're spending less trips, less eating out, stretching their dollar further. And now the person that went 18 months or 2 years or the whole entire damn pandemic is now left in this position. There's no more stimulus money coming in. The job they once had where they turned their back on because they got free money from the government, that job is gone. And that particular person is left with their hands in the air saying, this country is only for the rich. But that person chose not to work for 2 years. That person chose to take money from the government and stay in a non-professional setting, networking with other potential employers. And now in 2022, when we're in endemic stage, that person that went 2 years of living that way, now we feel empathy for, because they're saying this country is only for the rich. Screw this. Did they make their own bed?
Well, hindsight is 2020. Someone in the midst of...
You know what I found about hindsight being 2020?
Please tell me.
Some people make right decisions more than others. Some people seem to make correct decisions without the benefit of the hindsight more consistently than others.
Okay.
Have you noticed that? Sure, hindsight's 20/20, but experience and common sense and some strategery allows you to make the right decisions in real time more often than not.
Okay.
You disagree?
No, I'm not sure how that pertains to...
Because it pertains to the fact that people, for most of the pandemic, and I'm not saying it's all people, but it's certainly a portion of the population, for most of the pandemic, they took money from the government and they turned their back on their job. And now in 2022, when we're halfway through the damn year and we're in an endemic state in this country, we're now asked to be empathetic, or we're asked to be compassionate, or we're asked to be sympathetic to someone who didn't work for 2 years. And we're surprised that they're in financial hardship now. I mean, you know this as well as I do. We've worked together for 10 years. Fatherhood and marriage has made me more empathetic than I was 10 years ago. You would give me that?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, that means yes, you would give me that. Thank you. I want to be big-hearted, but if you went a pandemic with turning your back on your job, of course you're in a tough spot right now.
Yeah.
They made their own bed. Let's get to some comments. Vanessa Parkhill's giving you some props.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Give a salute to the Queen of Earlysville or a wave to her. We love you, Vanessa. Salute. Let's both salute Vanessa, right?
We just did. Salute.
We love Vanessa
We
Parkhill.
salute you, Vanessa.
The Queen of Earlysville. She's giving you props. She also says this. Why did senior citizens on Social Security get stimulus checks? I have family members who received Social Security question that decision. Their income was not interrupted. Why send them stimulus on top of their Social Security? It's a great question.
It's a good question. I don't think anyone was, I don't think there was a brain at the head of.
There wasn't a plan.
Yeah.
There wasn't a plan in play to consider even that.
No.
It was roll the checks out as quickly as possible. And I'll give you the checks were a little bit of pomp and circumstance. What did you call it? Like a dog and pony show? What did you call it? I like how you described it.
I don't remember.
It was like political theater, the stimulus checks.
Yeah, I mean.
It was political theater, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It was a way for Biden's administration
to say we're doing something.
to say we're doing something.
And look, I'm not saying they should have necessarily done more. I mean, we printed so much money in the last couple of years that's contributing to the problem right now. But
exactly.
The fact of the matter is, you can't just tell people they can't go to work and not give them an alternative
to live their life,
to make money,
financially to live their life,
to do something. And this is a problem the world over. This isn't just America. This is everywhere. There are people, in fact, in China, they're still trying to figure out what to do with some of this.
Well, I mean, now you got Biden and Yellen saying that the stimulus money, the free money didn't cause this inflation. And I just listened to Yellen and Biden make those comments, and I'm like, do you honestly expect us to believe that?
It wasn't the only thing that
But it contributed.
Yeah.
Danny, stimulus money is a good one, Jerry, but remember what we were talking about earlier. Nearly $1 trillion left the American workers and went straight to the billionaires.
Exactly.
Travis, the king of Danville. Travis Hackworth. If it's important to you, you find a way to do it. If not, you find an excuse. Exactly. If it's important to you, you find a way to do it. If not, you find an excuse of why it's not going to get done. Bill McKenzie, consider the Habitat store for donating your repurposed UVA furniture.
But how many UVA students are going to do that? And so I think that's why it's good that UVA is jumping in to, I guess you could say, be the middleman to get that furniture from the from the heap outside the apartment complex to the Goodwill stores and the Habitat stores.
Yeah, I like that UVA is doing that. UVA needs to do a better job of doing what we do in branding and advertising. What are the 3 words that we try to do when managing the brand for one of our clients?
Oh, man.
You got this. I know you got this.
Let's see. One of them's localized.
Yes!
One of them is, let's see, they all end in I's.
I did that so you would remember these 3 words. I say them often on the show. I hope you get this right.
I don't know.
Please, what are the 3 words we use?
You need to write it down for me sometime.
Come on, a decade of me utilizing these words. 40 plus hours a week with you. You should be able to rattle these off like you can rattle off your name.
Now I've forgotten.
What was the first one? You just forgot the first one you just said?
Unionize.
No. Unionize
monetize.
No.
And
now he's being difficult.
I don't remember what they are.
Localize,
yeah.
humanize, and personalize.
There you go.
If you're managing the brand of a business, you want to localize the brand of the business. You want to humanize it, and you want to personalize it.
Yeah.
The University of Virginia, in these trying times, needs to do a better job of localizing, humanizing, and personalizing its brand amongst the Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia community. One of the ways it can be doing that is by repurposing furniture from silver-spooned, wealthy UVA students, many that are paying north of $50,000 a year to go to school here,
Yeah.
and taking that forgotten furniture and getting it in the hands of folks in the community that are on the financial margin, passing on some financial savings to them.
Yeah.
It's a great plan. It's a great effort. It's a great play. If the furniture is decent or can be fixed and looks decent, good staging props for housing and for rentals. That's from Travis Hackworth watching the program today. He also says cybersecurity and DoD advanced manufacturing in Virginia, top areas in Virginia right now for guaranteed jobs. That's good feedback right there. How do you feel about Albemarle students, Albemarle public school students, riding Jaunt or Charlottesville Albemarle Transit to school? So here's the nitty gritty. I'll relay it to you. This is from CBS 19. Albemarle County Public Schools is considering a partnership with public transportation. What's being considered is students riding on Jaunt or Charlottesville area transit buses to and from school each day.
Yeah, I scanned through the article, so
The reason they're considering this is
because
because
they
of
don't have enough drivers.
the bus driver shortage. I have said on this program numerous times that Central Virginia should have one public transportation system. And it's probably not going to be called the Jefferson Public Transportation System. It likely will be called the Blue Ridge Transportation System.
Yeah.
Because
Wouldn't wanna trigger people.
if we rebrand a health district during a pandemic from the Jefferson Health District to the Blue Ridge Health District, we realize that there's many in the community that are somewhat frustrated with the Jefferson moniker, although neither Judah nor I are included in that grouping. Is that fair?
Yeah, neither of us is
Okay.
nuts.
So the Blue Ridge Transportation System, this one brand and transportation system accommodates all of Central Virginia, and not just citizens and taxpayers, but students to and from schools and UVA students to and from class and dorms. The Blue Ridge Transportation System for locals, students, and tourists alike. What was that saying from? That tagline.
For locals, students, and tourists alike.
Come on, you got this. What's that tagline from? Come on, what's that tagline from?
Was it the Seville ad campaign that came out a
No.
few? I don't know.
No. It was I'll give you a huge hint. It was the top of a roof.
Top of a roof.
The tavern across from Barracks Road. The saying from the tavern in Charlottesville. You don't remember that? Across from Barracks Road. No?
Not really. I remember it had some writing on the roof, but I didn't remember what it was.
Where students, tourists, and town people meet. The Blue Ridge Transportation System for students, for tourists, and for locals alike.
So my only question is that, I mean, we can't get Charlottesville and Albemarle to work together. How are you going to get all of Virginia to work together on this?
Central Virginia.
Central Virginia.
Well, it's going to have to come through one of these like regional bodies. Like these, Keefe sits on so many of these regional bodies. They're going to have to lead the charge. Charlottesville's finest driving by right now. We respect you, Charlottesville's finest. It's going to have to be one of these regional bodies. Or it's going to have to be UVA that's leading the charge to get all the various jurisdictions to the table.
What if CAT decided to make a push to combine all of the...
Charlottesville and Albemarle should do a joint venture with UVA.
And then push to get it...
At the very least, it should be Charlottesville and Albemarle County, and UVA included. Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and the University of Virginia joint venture, the three entities partner on a transportation system. Call it whatever the hell you want. I like the Blue Ridge Transportation System. It goes with the region.
Especially with people leaving Charlottesville to find
That's what I'm saying.
affordable housing.
And you pool your resources, you create some economies of scale, you reduce the burden from taxpayers who are funding public transportation already. Think about how many public transportation brands, just off the top of my head, Jaunt, Charlottesville Albemarle Transit, CAT, UTS, University Transit Services, all the public transportation for the high schools and the middle schools, the buses. You can't get bus drivers. Take the best bus drivers from all these splintered brands, put them under one freaking moniker, and make the routes more robust and efficient, more frequent and consistent.
I don't know if you could make them more frequent and consistent without the bus drivers, but I like the idea. I'm just
It's a
saying
brilliant
that
idea.
if there's a problem with getting enough bus drivers, then you're still going to have that problem with the new system.
MJR Cat, we love you too. I have to run to a meeting. I'll catch the show on rewatch later. I love the Judah Jerry dynamic, no matter the topic. So relatable with all of us in our friend groups and differing opinions on these relevant news items. It's so true. The bull and the bear. The bull and the bear. It's the bull and the bear. Don't you think? You don't like being the bear. You can't help but be the bear.
Well, yeah.
You can't help but be the bear. There's nothing wrong with that.
I like to think of it as realism.
Realism, contrarianism, the bear, always challenging and contradicting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you call it what? I mean, what does your family call it?
I don't think they call it anything. I mean,
They've spent an entire lifetime with you, and they do not call this anything.
I don't pick everybody apart. I mean, you are like so. You are so sure of your particular take that I can't.
It is a talk show.
That I can't help but find the holes to poke in it.
Well, and that's also your nature.
Yeah, it's really interesting. This book that Neil Williamson gave me. I've been reading it recently, and
You're reading one of Neil's books.
Well, he's only given me one. So
what's it called?
It's called.
I see it's resonating with you.
I know what the book is about. I don't remember the name of it.
It's resonating with you.
It's a great book about being able to change your mind.
Okay.
And what was it?
I'll fill here while you search for the
Yeah.
title of the book. Don't worry. I will fill here, Judah.
I know you will.
Don't worry about it. I would love to hear the title of the book so we could pass it along to the viewers and the listeners on this fine talk show. Richmond Public Schools, Judah, I want to relay this to you. I don't know if this is hilarious or incredibly sad. Okay, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Richmond Public School System, they got CARES Act money to purchase 44,000 Chromebooks during the pandemic. 44,000 Chromebooks during the pandemic. This past October, the Richmond Public School Board was alerted to thousands of devices, thousands of Chromebooks that were unaccounted for.
I mean, what a surprise.
So they did an audit. The results of this audit just came back. The auditor's findings said that 1,816 Chromebooks, 1,800 plus Chromebooks, valued at over $513,000, were assigned to former or inactive Richmond Public School students. So kids not in the school system had the Richmond Public School System computer to do whatever the hell they want with. 1,816. Auditors also reported 2,072 active students were assigned multiple Chromebooks. So little Johnny and little Susie. Over 2,000 little Johnny and little Susies were mistakenly given multiple Chromebooks to use at their house. Think about that. Active students had between 2 and 5 Chromebooks assigned to them with an aggregate value of $585,000. During our meetings with school designees, we were informed that there were no formal procedures for retrieval of Chromebooks from students who had not returned their previously issued Chromebooks at the end of the year. Explain to me how you give computers and you don't have a plan in place to get them back.
I mean, that's pretty...
Is that hilarious or extremely sad?
It's a little bit of both, and pretty much typical...
Bureaucracy,
yeah.
government, red tape, no forest through the trees,
Yeah.
don't execute, no plan in play. Let's give stimulus money to people getting Social Security.
Yeah.
Let's give stimulus money to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
Let's give stimulus money to Fortune 500 companies that don't need it. Let's quarantine and shut down all mom and pop businesses during a pandemic, but let's allow Target and Walmart and the big box stores to stay open.
Of course.
Right? What the hell? What the hell?
And you wonder why the money flows in one direction.
What the hell? No, you can't be open, mom and pop retailer. Yes, you can be open, Walmart retailer.
Yeah.
Amazon, Target, Kohl's, Bed Bath & Beyond, Home Goods. But no, Circa.
Right.
No, Martin's Hardware. No, Foods of all nations.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Last topic I want to relay to these.
Hold on, I got the book.
Oh, Neil Williamson's. Did he let you borrow it or keep it?
He gave it to me.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
And I've already got...
How do you know he doesn't want it back?
How do I know?
People let people borrow stuff.
Because nobody just like hands someone a book and expects it back.
Some people do.
Unasked.
Okay, go on. What's the title of the book?
I've already told someone about it, and I'm planning on lending it to them when I'm done with it. The former owner of, what was that food service? The food trucks. No, not the food trucks. My memory is horrible. You remember the food service? You could go and pick up your groceries at like a truck. You don't remember what that was? Forget it. Anyways,
Relay Foods.
Here's the book.
Relay Foods.
That's it.
Yeah, Relay Foods.
Yeah, I was telling him about the book. It's Think Again by Adam Grant.
Did you see him at church?
The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think Again by Adam Grant.
He'd picked up a book from the library and from the library at church, and I saw him holding it and was asking him about it, and started talking about the book that I was reading.
Danny O'Day says there are 2 types of idiots: those who lend books and those who return them. Danny's an author himself. Judah, this is from Danville, King of Danville, Travis Hackworth. Judah is the type of person you'd want on council during budget session to hold the feet to the fire and ask questions that need to be asked.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things about this book is that it talks about people who are good at changing their minds, at thinking again. The subtitle is "The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know," and there's a great anecdote about someone that the author met who was literally took joy from being proven wrong because it meant that he'd learned something new. And the way I feel a kinship to some of what's in this book so far, in that I'm not generally like married to my viewpoints.
No, what I
just
found with
like
you with your
learning
viewpoints
things.
is you
And
like to
so-
float various viewpoints out there to see what the responses are to your viewpoints.
Yeah, because I don't have a comprehensive understanding of the subjects, and so I want to know what other people think, because that will help me to
Get more well-rounded.
to shape to shape my response to things. And I like to be proven wrong, and I like to learn new things. And I'm not like, I just like learning things. When something pops into my head that I'm curious about, I look it up on Google and I learn something new. But it doesn't become like an obsession that I, learn the ins and outs and all the. I pick up facts like shiny rocks on a beach.
Shiny rocks on a beach? Could have at least said shells.
That too.
Shells, not rocks. It's called coming to an understanding or being enlightened from Wild Bill McKenzie. I'd say you're enlightened. You're an enlightened guy.
I think we're all reaching. I haven't gotten there yet. But
You don't
someday.
think you're enlightened?
No.
Are you surprised that it's taken inflation this long to impact tipping? Did you see the story, the link that I sent about this that I wanted to bring up?
Yeah.
That inflation is now causing Americans to be hesitant about tipping like they were during the pandemic. Remember, during the pandemic, we were tipping 25% on to-go food. And we picked up, like we went into a restaurant, we got the food at the register, and we left, and we were giving 25%. According to creditcards.com, a personal finance website, which polled 2,610 U.S. adults on tipping habits last month, these were the results. The percentage of those polled who said they always tip at a sit-down restaurant is now at 73%. It was at 77% during the pandemic. 57% of respondents said they always tip their delivery person. That's down from 63% during the pandemic. And only 43% say they always tip their taxi or rideshare drivers. That was at 49% during the pandemic. Folks are doing whatever they can to save a buck.
Now that is BS.
Not tipping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not surprised, and I think a 4% change is bad, but it's not.
That's substantial.
Yeah.
That's
But
a substantial drop.
My problem is that if you are trying to save money and you're going to a restaurant,
Yeah, you don't
then not
try
tipping?
to save money at the expense of folks on the margin. You save money by potentially not going to the restaurant.
yeah, and as much as I hate to say it, the restaurant needs the money too. But if you're trying to save money and you're going to a restaurant and not tipping your server, you're the kind of person that I would
That lets people borrow books.
scrape off my shoe.
Scrape off your shoe. Well, we're both, you and I are both 20% tippers.
Yeah.
And that's our starting point. Are you still 20% tipping to-go food?
Yeah, I usually
20% tip on to-go food. I'm not talking delivery. I'm talking takeout, carry-out.
it's easy for me because
You're eating for one.
Because if I go into Guadalajara and get
It's like $1.50.
4 tacos to go.
You're $1.50 tipping.
Yeah, and my base is usually $3. So if I'm tipping carry out, it's going to be at least 20%.
Are you tipping rideshare, Uber drivers?
I don't know. I've never taken an Uber.
You've never taken an Uber?
Well, maybe once. I got an Uber back from Richmond one time when my flight came in late, and I don't remember what I tipped, but it was an expensive ride.
Bill says tip your server with cash if possible.
Yeah, that's good.
Unless the restaurant adds 20% automatically. It's Bill McKenzie.
That's a good thought.
Crazy times, my friends. You did a good job today, Judah.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to close with? You don't have to.
Be kind to the people around you because you don't know what they're dealing with right now.
Golden rule. Judah Wickower is our director. As you're seeing, we're weaving him very much into the content we're creating here on the I Love CVille network because we value his opinion considerably. Indrani Hawkins in Eugene, Oregon adds this comment. Because Social Security is not a living wage. I have women friends who stayed home raising children most of their lives and are trying to survive on $600 a month.
That's definitely fair.
That's a great comment right there. In fact, I'll respond to her and give her props for that comment. See thread. Andrani Hawkins, great comment. I mentioned this live on air. All right, that's the Wednesday edition of the show. Good job. We appreciate viewers and listeners who watch this program. You guys, we work hard for you. So we hope you enjoy the content we create. A lot of effort goes into the creation of this content. This is the I Love CVille show, where we use long-form content to have very real discussions about stuff in our lives. And hopefully it's relatable to you, the viewer and listener. We come here with honest intentions of creating content that is meaningful to us, with the hope that you can relate to what we are talking about. It's the whole concept. For Judah Wickower, my name is Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love CVille show on the I Love CVille network. We will see you at 3 o'clock for What's Barking Local, a show that showcases the animal community in Central Virginia. It stars Patty Zeller, and at 3 o'clock today we have the SPCA and Lead the Way Canine Training on What's Barking Local. So long, everybody. Take care.